My name is Perion. I am a father. I actually have 5 kids, 2 daughters, 3 boys. My oldest daughter is actually 16. She's going to be 17 this year. And my youngest is 7.
Well, my name is Tariq Smith. I serve as the Executive Director of Greater Rochester Summer Learning Association. One of my proudest things is being a father to my young daughter, who's 6. She is my inspiration. She is what drives me every single day. And I work every day as hard as I can to make sure that she's good.
My name is Jerram Dorsey. I'm a father of 7, 5 boys, 2 girls, ranging from the ages, my oldest is 22 down to 8. Of course, it's been a struggle, but there are some rewards that come with it. We have one child who has autism. He was diagnosed with autism at the age of, I think it was a little over 1 year old, and he is now 13 years old.
You know, me being young, growing up, I didn't have a father in my life. I was raised by my mom and my grandma and my grandfather. And, you know, and they would remind me, you know, even though you don't have your father, you're still okay. You still have love. You still have a sense of security here. You're being provided for. And I would still ask them, you know, where's my father? What's going on? Or at least what's his name? You know, where did he live? Stuff like that. I would ask them. And I still get the same response, you know, you're okay, regardless of whether you don't know where your father is or not. You're okay. You don't have to worry about that. And so that left me just wondering.
My father was in the house half of the time, but while he was there, he was not really fully present. So what that does is it kind of pushes me to want to be what he wasn't. So it's kind of a struggle sometimes with me because what I didn't have, I got to kind of pull from different sources to create that. I know that from not having my dad really be present, things I had to learn on my own, identity crisis, just trying to freestyle and figure things out, and caused a lot of issues along the way, made a lot of mistakes and had to learn the hard way. So in my kids' life, I tried to kind of just remove all that, and just help them to have something to kind of stand on, And I know that me not being able to be firm in that makes their life be shaky. The importance is just having something, a guideline to go by, and somebody who is there to kind of protect you if you're going through certain situations and kind of pull you back if you are drifting a little bit too far.
When I reflect on that, I try to provide for them that sense of security that I did not have. I still try to involve myself in their life. It's taking them to the park, making sure that they, like my little sons, I'm making sure that they get on the slide properly, or that they go down, or that they're on the jungle gym and they on the monkey bars. I still help them and try to sometimes encourage them to do pull-ups or something like that, just because, I just want them to know without a doubt that their father is present and that I care about them and their development.
So with the session that I attended, what stood out to me the most was just the fact of the impact of having all of those fathers in the same room, in a safe space, in a space where, they were vulnerable and able to share stories. That's what I found to be, the most impactful thing about the whole experience.
I've been a part of different type of round tables and stuff like that, but immediately off the back, as soon as I stepped inside of the place, the atmosphere was very welcoming, and the guys were like just off the back ready to open up and talk about certain things, because I think that there is a certain hunger for men, especially, to be heard.
I learned to pause. I learned to pause. I learned to not be reactive to things, to my actions. Take a deep breath, think about it, internalize it before I actually make action. And so I've actually made a conscious effort to not react, even in my household, taking, my daughter, she might, take you there, but, just taking that step, that one step to pause. That's what I learned. And I'll tell you what, it's worked. It's worked.
When I think about SEL, it was a lot of tools that stood out to me. A lot of mental tools that I can use to try and help develop my skills as a parent. For one, when we talked about taking time to just spend time on yourself and not have to worry about what other people expect from you. Because me personally, I consistently worry about what people expect from me. So that actually brought to my attention that I don't worry about what I need from myself and what I need for my self development. And it reminded me that if I can't help myself develop, I'm going to struggle helping my children develop, and that from that aspect. And that right there was very powerful for me. And I'm still struggling with that to this day. I'm still struggling with that and trying to find time to just take time for myself, for me to be able to unwind and unpack the many challenges that I go through from day to day.
With the other gentlemen in the room, when they expressed, what they did express around the room, it, it honestly did not change my thoughts about handling stress or emotion. It made me more mindful. It made me more aware. It gave me a tool that I could take back to my household and tell my wife, hey, you take a pause, you don't react. And so I could actually act as the example, set the example in my household on how to react with my child. And that's worked tremendously. So, I think that overall, it's not about, maybe it wasn't for me learning new skills. It was about tapping into the skills I already had and actually applying them. So,
So there was a moment where I learned about a pyramid called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I have never heard of that term. I've never even, you know, thought that there was something out there like that. And it just shows like different levels of where you are at as a person. And so that really opened up my eyes. And as I'm looking at this pyramid, I didn't make it past, there's certain different levels to it. I didn't make it past a certain level. And it just made me reflect and kind of think like, I got to do some more work, which we always do, but it just put things in perspective for me.
I will say this: I love to see people in our community um, who are willing to try. This is one of those experiences where people might be apprehensive to come into a room and speak about their lives, but the walls were just kind of torn down, and people were able to share things that they probably haven't shared with anybody in this room. And so that just having that experience and knowing that I could do that myself um, made it pretty awesome.
Well, recently, like for my job, recently they scheduled me to have a day off, and I reflected on the time where you said, would you need sometimes you need your time to yourself, and I decided to use that moment to just, okay, let me use this day to take to myself, to take care of things that apply to me and my personal growth. And even though they still wanted me to come in, even though I had that day off, they still called me and they wanted me to come in. I still thought about what I learned at SEL and what, you know, tools they provided for me so that I can take that time, and I use that. That's when I thought about that, and I used that time to take to myself to reflect. And it was hard for me to tell them no, but I did. I told them that I'm not going to be able to come in today because I have personal things that I have to take care of. I pictured being in the group and you guys saying it yourselves, and I just put myself in you guys' shoes, and I just was like, you know what? And then it empowered me. I have to admit, it empowered me. So that was the time where I used that, and even though it still was hard. Sometimes even throughout the day, I still want to just call them back and be like, you know what, I can move some things around. But no, I had to remember and stick to what you guys told, what I learned there, and do it. And stick to it.
So one of the things that I learned in the class was how to use reaction versus response. Response was the better way to deal with things. Like, you sit back, you think about what you're going to say or how you're going to react, and then you respond.
I think that spaces like this that are therapeutic, where people feel supported, are important for not only men, but especially Black men in this community, because they're few and far between. The more that we can create, the more discussions that we can have, the more knowledge that we can share, the better off we're going to be as a community. You have to be intentional about creating these spaces. Otherwise, they just won't happen. Many years I've been alive. Not once have I joined a panel like that, where it's all Black fathers. The media is quick to say, oh, Black fathers this, Black fathers that. But when it comes down to the crux of it, Black fathers are there. Black fathers are supporting. Black fathers care about their children. And that's what needs to be shown. And that's what needs to be highlighted in this community.